Welcome to the deep dive. So today we're digging into something a lot of you have asked about, using Slack in education.
That's right. There's a lot of interest in whether it can, genuinely improve how learning happens.
Exactly. So our mission here is pretty straightforward. We want to pull out the key benefits and also the potential pitfalls of using Slack in schools or universities based on what we've gathered.
Okay,
Ready to unpack it?
let's do it. What really jumps out first is just how, well, flexible Slack seems to be for this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at the main features channels, direct messages, sharing files, they sort of map directly onto educational needs. It creates this adaptable digital space.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the channel organization feels like super important. Our sources talk about setting them up for subjects, right? Like hashtag history or hashtag biology.
Exactly, but
Um,
also, for specific project groups, maybe even informal study circles, hashtag group A project, hashtag study buddies chem.
right. It feels really customizable. Like you could tailor the comms for almost any learning scenario.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And thinking bigger picture for a sec, one thing that comes up a lot is comparing it to traditional learning management systems, or LMS.
Ah, the LMS comparison.
Yeah, the big advantage often cited is the real-time communication side of Slack.
Mhm.
And importantly, it's an interface many students already know.
Okay, so that familiarity could mean they like adopt it faster and maybe interact more naturally.
That seems to be the idea.
Yeah.
It feels less like this sort of separate school platform and more like the communication tools they use every day.
That makes total sense. So it's less formal, maybe it encourages quicker questions, more back and forth.
That's what the sources suggest, yeah.
Yeah.
That familiar feel is often seen as a big plus. It can make engaging feel less intimidating than some older LMS platforms. They can sometimes be a bit clunky.
Definitely been there with clunky systems. So let's picture this, like project-based learning. How would Slack fit in there?
Well, that's a great example. You could have a dedicated channel, say, for a group working on a presentation. They could use it to um, brainstorm, share drafts of slides, ask quick questions, coordinate who's doing what, all in one place, in real time, if needed.
Right. That would have been amazing back in school instead of endless email chains trying to coordinate things. A real game changer for group work.
It really highlights how Slack supports both synchronous and asynchronous learning.
Can you quickly define those again for everyone?
Sure. Synchronous is the live stuff, like a real-time chat discussion in a channel. Asynchronous is when communication doesn't need an instant reply, like posting a question someone answers later or sharing a file for review.
Got it. So it covers both bases. People can jump in live or catch up when they have time.
Exactly. It caters to different schedules and, frankly, different preferences for interaction.
Now, integrations. Our sources mentioned those make Slack even more useful. Google Drive and Zoom came up. How do they plug in?
They're pretty vital for smoothing out the workflow. Think about sharing a Google Doc right in the channel for collaborative editing.
Okay, yeah. Easy access.
Or maybe a discussion gets complicated via text, so the teacher quickly launches a Zoom call directly from that Slack channel to talk it through face-to-face, virtually.
Keeps everything connected. Less jumping between different apps.
Exactly. Centralized.
Okay, but with all this communication happening, what about, managing behavior, keeping it professional? That's got to be a consideration.
Absolutely crucial. The sources really stress the need for clear guidelines and setting expectations up front.
Like a classroom code of conduct, but for Slack?
Sorta, yeah. Educators need to be active in guiding conversations, modeling that professional online communication, and reinforcing respectful interaction, just like they would in person.
Makes sense. And the other big one, privacy and security. Obviously critical for schools.
Hugely important. You really need to understand and use Slack's own privacy settings and security features correctly, making sure student data is protected, complying with, regulations like FERPA or GDPR, depending on location. It has to be a priority from the start.
Right. Non-negotiable.
Good to know that, according to our sources, there are schools and universities actually doing this successfully. We should maybe look at some specific case studies another time.
Definitely interesting to see it in practice.
So wrapping this up, what's the main takeaway for you from all this?
For me, it's the potential Slack has to create this really dynamic communication hub. It organizes things in a way that just clicks with how many students communicate today.
But with caveats.
Yes, absolutely. It's not just plug and play. You need that careful planning, how channels are set up, how you manage the community, and hitting those privacy and security points really hard.
Well put. So thinking beyond just Slack itself, this whole discussion brings up a bigger thought for you, our listener. How might this shift towards more real-time, fluid communication tools fundamentally change the learning experience itself? And what other questions does that spark about the future of education technology? Something to chew on.